Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're listening to Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
So, on today's episode of Eating W's, I would like to start with a little bit of a statement. As you may notice, this will be our second episode with video, and by coincidence, I am wearing the same exact outfit. So, I just want to make a statement and say, I do own more than one outfit. This is not the only one I own. It's just a coincidence that I wore it for both the episodes. Luckily, Callan is wearing a different outfit, and we got a little bit of
Added some more decor.
added decor.
Yeah.
We talked about adding decor.
It
but
looks Packers heavy. He was
I was gonna
supposed
say,
to
I
bring
didn't-
Viking stuff, but
I didn't know we were starting that this week, so just pretend that like this one's a Vikings hat, and this helmet, if you can't tell, is actually signed by Brett Favre. So we'll just say he signed it when he was a Viking, and we'll call it even. There we go.
We'll call it even.
So, past that statement, last week was NFL Week 4, and a quick update on our scores. I scored only 6 points this week, but Callan only scored 4, making not 4, Callan scored 5. Making
so I lost
our
my
totals is 37 to... I have 37, Callan has 35, so I gained a point back on him. Man, it's been a close race so far. We've really been back and forth. So, moving on to the recap of NFL Week 4, our Bengals beat the Jags at home, which I'm happy to see because the Vikings lost to them, so makes that loss sting a little less.
It was a lot closer than I think everyone thought.
Yeah.
The Jaguars had that game
played well.
won for 59 minutes.
Yeah, and then, of course, Urban Meyer went out and
The
celebrated
Bengals
after the
actually
game.
never left. Never left. Urban Meyer never left. He never left Ohio. We'll get to that. The Bengals never led until the last second.
Yep.
Yeah, so
they hit the
but then
game-winning
yes,
field
Urban
goal.
Meyer never left Ohio because he's from Ohio. He's from Columbus. He has a bar there. He told the team. Now this is really weird. I heard he didn't fly back with the team. He used his own private plane to fly back so that he could stay in Columbus and see his grandchildren. That's what he told the team.
Well,
Video would show
As
that.
I say, I think his granddaughter is a lot closer to him than he wants people to know that. If that's
the truth.
If that's the
Yeah.
case, because
If so, I don't know if you heard what happened, but the video catches him. You know, she's grinding on him in the club and all that.
yeah,
Well,
there's a video that came out of a girl totally grinding on him in the club.
And this is Saturday night. So you haven't even been back to Jacksonville yet to review film, anything, meet with the team. But there's an angle that shows him putting 2 fingers in the back of her pants and getting,
Irvin, you dirty
getting
dog.
a little hot and heavy out there in Columbus.
Irvin, you dirty, dirty dog. What?
I
I guess he was just counting this as his first NFL win. He was
I
just
guess the
celebrating
moral
like it.
victory. Yeah, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. But
Yeah, you gotta take it where you can get it sometimes. It's a rough world out there.
And then his only statement on it was stupid and I shouldn't have done it. We're moving on from it.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong. Shouldn't have done it.
But just the fact that I don't know. Apparently he's losing that team already. I mean, that itself, like, not only just that you went out and all that, like, what does that show your players? You tell your players not to go out, things like that. You even said yourself that Coach Ryan doesn't like it if you guys go out the night before games and stuff. Like,
No.
And Jesus, so he goes out on a Saturday night. I mean, granted, they did.
As I say, it wasn't the night before a game.
But still, so you're still in Columbus, Ohio. Well, your team's been back in Jacksonville for 3 days. And you're obviously not going that night, so it's at least going to be one more day.
Urban's really putting himself in a cluster of a situation down there in
and
Jacksonville.
I can't believe it. He always seemed like that kind of, like, I don't know, like, disciplinarian type. Like, straight edge, all that, and got straight edge all right.
Interesting to see if his wife will make a statement. But moving on to the Sunday games.
No comment from her, from what I found.
I bet I bet he's getting an earful of comments at home.
We attempted to contact her for comment, and
yeah, sure.
there was no return.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Sunday slate of games. First one we wanted to talk about was the Titans going to New York to face the Jets because Robert Saleh got his first win as an NFL head coach.
But it's Zach Wilson this week. Also, he looked like the guy from BYU.
Zach Wilson's first win. He was rolling out to his right and threw a rainbow ball to Corey Davis, which was kind of cool because it was a revenge game for Corey Davis.
I forgot about the Corey Davis revenge game.
But it was one of the prettiest throws I've ever seen from a rookie. At least that I can think
of.
That
was like that combine
He dropped
throw.
that in between double coverage. It looked just like that combine throw. Man, was it pretty.
That's me. That's Zach Wilson.
Yep. I also wanted to mention
Kyle Wilson was on the bench this week.
Yeah, that's Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
You're Kyle Wilson you're always talking about was on the bench. Another reason I wanted to mention this was because this was the first time in our little head-to-head prediction competition that someone missed a lock. I put my lock in on the Titans, and they, of course, did not win. But transitioning into the next game, the Colts at the Dolphins, it was the second time somebody missed a lock because Callan put his lock on the Dolphins, who also did not win.
Jacoby Brissett would go in and show Indy that they picked the wrong quarterback. And
I also picked the Dolphins that game, but
he showed that they did not pick the wrong quarterback. But he doesn't have a very good team around him.
No, that's for sure.
The Colts obviously have a better put together team, even with two sprains still in there. Two
Sprains played well. He threw 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I picked the Dolphins for some reason, and I do not remember my thought process on that because I'm kind of a closet Colts fan this year with Carson Wentz and all the maniac and all the guys they have there. So not sure why I picked the Dolphins there, but I also got it wrong. Moving on to another rookie quarterback from Zach Wilson. The Lions went to Chicago and lost to the Bears, which is another game we both got wrong, so we had a rough week. But Justin Fields finally looked decent. And
the way he looked last week, Justin Fields, getting sacked 10 times, I thought the Lions were just going to totally shred out his kneecap.
Sadly, one of their edge rushers, I believe it was Romeo Okwara was his name, tore his Achilles, and he will be out for the season.
That's too bad.
Game, so that sucks for him.
And that's why he was one of their main pass rushers. But it obviously was a different game plan by the Bears, who switched their play calling duties to the offensive coordinator, Bill Lazor.
Yep. They were originally done by Matt Nagy, but now they are being done by Bill Lazor, and you could tell the difference.
Yes, it was a Justin Fields style playbook, not an Andy Dalton pocket passing playbook.
Yes.
Which, not that Fields, like I said, not that he couldn't do that, but if you move him around in the pocket and scramble him, he'll have a lot more time. Because the defense will have to be looking for that. They can't just zero in on one guy in the pocket. If he's bootlegging out to the left, or even if it's not bootleg, just movement.
Exactly. And they did have some designs on for him as well.
And they had some designed runs, which is different than last week.
This is a little bit of an extreme analogy, but to kind of represent what they did with Justin Fields last week, trying to give him a playbook like they did with Andy Dalton, would be like if you tried to put Lamar Jackson in a pocket passer, Tom Brady style playbook. It just wouldn't work.
I like the other way.
Or if you put it
Brady in a Lamar Jackson style playbook. I want to see Brady out there running options,
running read options and bootlegs, and
quarterback draws up the middle.
It just really shows that you can have a really talented player totally screwed over by things like play calling, offensive styles, and coaching schemes.
If a player doesn't fit your scheme, that's a big thing.
That's why everyone talks crap about people being a wow, I'm totally blanking on the word. When a quarterback can only run a certain style of offense. Wow, I cannot. This is sad. I can't believe I'm totally.
Where it's like, I can't. I know what you're thinking.
And the funny part is, while you were talking, I just thought of it. Like my next thing that I was gonna say.
The quarterback only succeeds in that offense.
Yeah.
And I can't think of what the definition is right now.
The saddest part about it is I literally just thought it about 30 seconds ago and then started talking, and it totally left my head. But
I know what you're saying.
The main point is just it really shows how much a offense can affect a quarterback more than a quarterback's actual skill can. Another great situation being Sam Darnold moving to Carolina. That's less offensive scheme and more just sheer talent around him, not just from him. But
and
that's
coaching.
kind of Adam
That's
Gase,
more about coaching.
Well, since we're talking about Sam Darnold, before we continue, I might as well just jump to it. The Panthers went to Dallas and lost to the Cowboys by a touchdown. It wasn't quite as close of a game as the box score made it look. The Cowboys were pretty dominant. But I think it was less that the Panthers looked bad and the Cowboys just looked really good, because it was a great game up until it started to kind of get separated.
They do look good.
But
that was a back and forth battle most of the game, actually, and then Cowboys kind of pulled away, and then
the Cowboys just got a string of momentum that
and then
really
Carolina got
forward.
a garbage touchdown that made it look a little closer than it was. But if not for Trayvon Diggs, that might actually be closer than it really is. He had 2 interceptions, I believe. You give him 5 on the year.
Trayvon Diggs has been killing it.
They're saying he's Defensive Player of the Year right now. I mean, how could you not be? You're averaging a pick a game.
And this is his sophomore season, which is even more impressive. Got drafted by them out of
watching
Bama last year.
That game. You know, he cuts. He's really aggressive. He cuts routes and he jumps in front of them and he's getting them. But some of those times when you jump in front of him and you cut that route and you miss, you're gonna get burned.
Yeah,
and it probably will happen. It probably has happened.
And
he's just getting
a good offensive coordinator. I can't remember who they have next week, but they're going to notice that, and they're going to hit him with a lot of double moves. I see a lot of double moves.
I remember Philly went on a run where they were getting a ton of picks, and then I think this was a couple years ago, and then teams started running that double, where they pump fake and doing double moves, and they were just getting beat because the corners were playing so aggressive.
Yeah, he's got to watch out, because that's going to get him good one of these times. Next game we have up is the Cleveland Browns traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. And man, was that a headache of a game to watch as a Vikings fan.
It just seemed like both teams knew what each offense was doing.
I'm so
which
torn.
Is obviously they were.
I'm so torn on how to feel about this game, because on one side, that was a great team. Amazing defense. Greedy Williams really stepped up in the non-presence, I should say, of absence of Greg Newsome, their corner that they drafted this year. Greedy Williams really stepped up and had a great game, gave Kirk Cousins his first interception of the year. And that offense is pretty solid overall. They were a little beat up on the offensive line.
Chubb went over 100 yards.
Chubb went over 100. Hunt had like 70-some. They both almost went over 100. But Baker had a really bad game, which I noticed.
Baker only had like 180-some yards.
Yeah,
Baker. He didn't make any mistakes.
Yeah.
That was...
Well, he missed a lot of opportunities.
Right, but he didn't make any turnover mistakes.
Towards the end, when they were trying to run the clock out a little bit, he missed 2 huge game-ending dagger throws. One to both to OBJ, I think, actually. So, I mean, Baker didn't play great. But overall, that's just such a good team. So only losing by a touchdown to them seems that I should be like, oh yeah, that's good. We only lost to it by a touchdown. But watching that game, man, it was so frustrating. It was by far the most...
I don't know about moral victory.
It was by far the most frustrating victory. By far the most frustrating loss we've had all year, because, just like I said, from the other hand, they were such a good team and we had a chance to beat them. Baker gave us so many chances. Our defense held up and gave us chances, and it just looked like our offense wasn't there except for the first drive. The first drive, we drove down the field. Kirk Cousins had like 60 yards and a touchdown to Justin Jefferson, and then we did not score another point the entire game. I don't even know if we broke into Browns territory another time the entire game.
I tell you, it's just each coach knew what each offense was doing.
I love Kevin Stefanski.
You both had each other's playbook.
I love Kevin Stefanski, but man, I wanted to ruin his return to Minnesota. It would have made me so happy.
I don't know. That's what I got out of the game. That's what it looked like to me. It's I said, both teams were just playing each other.
Exactly. I see a lot of bright spots from that game. I see a lot of low points from that game. I think that next week we got a makeup game against Detroit that I think we're just going to absolutely dominate.
You'll think Detroit's going to...
Just like with the Packers, I think a game against Detroit is exactly what we needed to get us out of the funk. So hopefully that actually happens. And last thing I want to say about it is I don't really want to say this because it makes me sound like a broken record. But it is just so irritating to watch so many bad official calls and have none of them go our way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many of you watched that game, but the Browns went for it on a 4th and goal, and we stopped them on the 1 yard line. They ran 4 plays from like inside the 3, and we stopped them, and the refs just gave an awful bailout holding call against Eric Kendricks in the end zone. Baker was out to his right. It was on the complete opposite side of the field in the left middle.
Side of where the play was happening.
It wasn't even holding. Eric Kendricks, the guy runs an out route to the left, and Eric Kendricks like slightly pulls on like his hip.
Right.
It was just an awful call.
He did that trailing thing.
Exactly.
You know, he's got his
it was just a
arms
completely
out.
awful call that bailed the Browns out and gave them their only touchdown of the game.
Oh.
And then later in the game, when we threw our Hail Mary, for lack of a better term, from about the 30-yard line.
Is that at the end of the second half? Or end of the first half?
No, into the game.
Oh, at the end of the game.
To tie the game, Thielen so obviously got held. And I know on a regular Hail Mary, you don't really call holding.
They usually let them play.
But with it being inside the 30, I wouldn't be complaining if it wasn't so blatantly obvious that Thielen got held. Like, even if he's not getting held, I don't think he makes the miraculous catch to score the touchdown. But when I'm sitting there watching, and I think it was Greedy Williams, literally has his hands grabbing Jersey on each side of his shoulder pads, and Thielen is trying to lean and just getting pulled back, and it doesn't get called, it's just so annoying to watch.
Look, if we learned anything, even if Thielen had made that catch, your kicker misses the extra point anyway. I mean, do you really want to go through with that? I mean,
that's a hell of a point. I don't even have to come back to that because it's completely true. But yeah, it was just tragic to see. Moving on from that headache of a game, the Giants went to New Orleans and beat the Saints, and we just wanted to mention that because we thought it was ironic that last week I mentioned that the Saints were up week 1, down week 2, up week 3, so now they'll be down week 4, but we both picked the Saints anyway, but they were down week 4.
And now I believe it. They're doing this win every other win-loss mantra that some teams just get into.
And Callan also mentioned to me before we started recording that this was the first time that both New York teams went into overtime and won on the same day. In how many years?
First time ever.
First time ever.
Never, have both New York teams won in overtime on the same day at the same time. Yeah, they were both noon games.
Yeah, so it
wasn't even like. I think it happened other times, but they were on different days. Like the Giants played Monday night or Jets played Thursday night or something, but
good for
this
the
is
Jets.
The first time it had ever happened on the same day, same time.
Kept Joe Judge from having to run them till they all puke, so that was good for them.
Oh my God.
Another quick little cool fact that we'd like to mention is about the Chiefs-Eagles game, where the Chiefs went to Philly and beat the Eagles. Mm-hmm. I'll let you take that one.
I actually learned via the Pat McAfee show yesterday, so shout out to them. But this was Andy Reid's 100th win with Kansas City, and that he is the first coach ever to win 100 games with 2 different franchises, because he also won more than 100 with the Philadelphia Eagles in the early 2000s. So how coincidental or ironic that his 100th win with Kansas City was against Philadelphia. And I thought that, he'd let Philly win. Usually he does. But if I had known that that was for his 100th win, of course Philly was going to give that to him instead.
They're just sitting there.
I sure did dig her deep in there.
It's like when 2 gentlemen, nice people are holding the door for each other, and they're like, "No, you go first," and he's like, "No, you go." And they're just like, "Oh, here's the win," and then the Eagles were like, "This is your 100th win. You should take it." But yeah, cool. And
coincidentally, his 100th win with Philadelphia was against Kansas City. No, I don't know who was on, but that would just be too good to be true. I did look it up. It's like Atlanta or something like that, but that would just be
with it being an NFC AFC thing, it would have been so improbable that it would have been really cool. But next up, we have the Steelers-Packers game, which I didn't really get to watch, so I'll let you take that one, Kevin.
So that one missed the first quarter of it due to broadcasting rules. All the noon games or 1 o'clock games, depending on where you are, have to finish before the broadcast can switch to the 3 o'clock games. So the Titans-Jets game went about 4 hours because it took almost all of overtime, and there were 2 review challenges during the overtime period. So the first quarter of the game was missed, which included actually the only Pittsburgh Steelers highlight, a 45-yard touchdown to Deontay Johnson on their first drive. So as a Packers fan, all I missed was frustration. But then by the time it came back in the second quarter, Rodgers had gotten it together and the run game looked good. A.J. Dillon ran 8 consecutive times for 2 first downs. He had
for
like
2 first downs.
Yeah, so it went
they just straight workhorse.
It went like 3, 4, 6, and then like 2, 7, and then like a 16-yarder. Like you can tell, he was just 6. That's cool. Like
what a tank.
Yeah, so I really like how he's turning out to be. But yeah, it wasn't a whole. I mean, it was pretty uneventful. The Packers had that game well in hand, at least from when I started watching. The first quarter maybe put a little pressure on, but that's just hearsay.
the poor decaying body of Ben Roethlisberger. That's all I can take out of that game.
I mean, we didn't have Zadarius Smith. He's out for an extended period of time. He re-aggravated his back injury and is now needing surgery. There's a chance his is season ending, which is even worse. I don't know. He might be able to make it back to the playoffs, I guess, but they're hoping it's not season ending.
Yeah.
And Jaire Alexander on a really nice play on an out route where he knocked the ball away on what would have been a first down. He injured his AC joint in his shoulder, so it's they call it an AC joint sprain. So basically, it's a shoulder sprain of your, I don't know, it's not the rotator cuff, but I'm not sure where exactly AC joint is. But it's a shoulder injury that they said, depending on the grade of it, they'll know more on Wednesday. It's Tuesday the 7th today? Tuesday the 7th or Tuesday?
Today is the 5th.
Tuesday the 5th. So Wednesday the 7th. That's why. Wednesday the 7th or 6th. Jeez.
You okay over there?
No, I do not have my days straight right now.
You having trouble counting?
I know that Sundays football's on. And Thursday night and Monday night. That's what I know for sure.
That's your calendar.
Yeah. So anyways, on Wednesday, whatever date that is, there will be more info to know what grade of AC joint sprain it was and if that will be season ending. What I've heard is that he'll probably miss some games and it's just a pain management thing. And it's something that he'll probably deal with the rest of your life. But most corners, I guess, get this injury and just deal with it because of their having to dive and swat. Yeah. They're not trying to catch it. They're just trying to hit it. So they land on their shoulders awkwardly and arms. And so it just becomes a pain management thing. And hopefully neither one is season ending. And I really hope that we can at least get them both back for the playoffs. I think we have a good enough team without them to get to the playoffs. And once you're in, it's a whole nother ball game.
That sucks to hear because Jaire is one of the only players on the Packers that I truly really like. So
he's good.
Pride of Louisville there. Okay, last game we're going to talk about for week 4 is, of course, the marquee matchup. Tom Brady's return to Foxborough, the Bucs taking on the Pats. Cal and I both had Pats as our upset, and of course, both lost it, so we're still yet to hit an upset. It's going to happen eventually.
I really thought Belichick was going to win this one.
It was a pretty boring game. All I want to say about it quick is the coaching decision to kick that field goal, I think, was awful.
And I disagree.
His situation was either to go for the 3 yards or to kick a very low percentage field goal in bad conditions and then try to stop Brady with, I think it was like a minute left and the Bucs having 2 timeouts. I think going for it on 4th and 3 was so much better of a decision.
Well, see,
I can't believe that they tried to kick it.
You see, Belichick saw Brady and Gronk, and he thought that he still had Vinatieri. So he thought he was sending Adam Vinatieri out there, who would have nailed that.
If Adam Vinatieri goes out there, he would have nailed that field.
But let me tell you, here's what I think. he wanted to kick that field goal, give the ball to Brady with 50 seconds left and 2 timeouts, and he wanted to stop him. He wanted to beat Brady at Brady's best scenario. And would he have? Probably not.
No, he definitely wouldn't have.
I think that was his drive there. That was his thought.
There was a minimal chance that Nick Folk hit that field goal from that length in the wet conditions there were. And there was somehow even less of a chance that they stopped Brady.
Right?
So it's just mind-blowing.
He actually made it. I mean, if you want to talk about
distance-wise,
accuracy or distance-wise, he had
accuracy.
He had the
was
leg,
very close,
and he just if that was a 55-yarder, he probably makes it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean it just hit that up.
Was it 56?
It's 56.
Oh, I thought it was 54. Okay.
No, it was 56.
No, I agree.
Yards.
If it was
a 55 or a 54, he probably
would have hit it because there was less time to curve.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yep.
Probably would have bounced off the inside.
Yeah, and back in.
So yeah, just very questionable decision.
I would have liked to have seen if Belichick could have stopped Brady and his perfect situation.
I wish he could have.
I know, it was still would have been interesting to see. I mean, is that not what America wanted? I mean, come on, Nick Folk.
That's a good point. That's exactly what America wanted. Okay, well, that was our Week 4 recap. As I said, our scores this week are now I have 37 and Callan has 35. So, moving on to our Week 5 predictions. Hey everybody, this is future editing man Caden, and sorry for ending this episode so abruptly, but I just wanted to let you guys know that Cal and I kind of changed up the format of this episode on the fly. So this episode that you just saw, of course, was released on Tuesday night, and then now we will release the preview for the Week 5 NFL Thursday sometime before the game. Not sure on an exact time yet. But we're going to start doing this every week where we release the preview and the review of the previous week on 2 different days. We're hoping to keep it Tuesday and Thursday, but that's just going to kind of depend on how Cal and I's schedule falls. But thank you guys all for listening. I hope you all have an amazing day, and until Thursday, don't forget to eat the W.